Okay, so this video will take you through some tracing problems, some work output type questions involving accumulators. So remember, we talked about accumulators in the last video. Accumulators are basically just variables that you can add on to. So we're going to do the first one together. Make sure you have this worksheet in front of you. And as usual, take good notes. I'm going to have you try some on your own, and then you can check it with the video afterwards. But here we go, number one. Number one says, for this block of code, the user inputs the following values when prompted in this order using the keyboard. So there's all of our input. And we've got a driver class, the whole scanner in thing. Okay, and we've got sum equals 0 and int number. So before I get too far into this, let's make our chart over here. So we're going to make something that says work and then output. And on the work side, we always want to keep track of our variables. So what variables do you see? Hopefully you're thinking sum, which is an int and it's initialized to 0, and number. That's not initialized to anything. And looking through the code quickly, is there anything else down in here that's going to be a variable we need to keep track of? Okay, so our loop variable. So put k over here. Okay, and that all happens before the loop even starts running. Okay, so then we got this for loop, public void run, for int k equals 1. So k is 1 right now. First thing I see is system.out.print enter number. Since that says system.out.print, that happens in the output. So over in the output, I need to see enter number. And since that's a print and not a print ln, then that means the number that the user enters is going to be right next to that, not on a new line. So 9 is the first number that the person enters, so there should be a 9 that shows up there. Next line says number equals in.nextInt, so that 9 that got entered gets stored in the variable number, so that's 9. It says if number mod 5 is equal to 4. Remember, mod means when I divide by 5 is the remainder 4. Well, 9 divided by 5 would be 5 goes in one time, and there is a remainder of 4, so the if statement is true. So we use sum plus equals number. So remember that plus equals is what makes, it's that whole accumulator idea. So that value of number is going to get added on to whatever sum was. Sum was 0, so 9 plus 0, this becomes 9. If you like, this is the same as saying sum equals sum plus number. So if you need to see that written out for now, until you get used to that plus equals thing, remember that's doing the exact same thing. So sum equals whatever sum was plus what number is. Okay, now does this system.out.print happen now? Am I going to see sum equals 9? No, how come? Because the system.out.print is outside of the for loop. So everything's going to happen between these spots until k becomes greater than 7. Okay, so now we can keep going. Now k is 2. It's going to say enter number again. And the second number that gets entered is 24. So number equals in.nextInt. That means number is now 24. Number mod 5 equals 4. Okay, well, if I divide 24 by 5, it goes in 4 times with a remainder of 4, so the if statement is true. So we do sum plus equals number again. Now 24 gets tacked on to what sum was. Since sum was 9, 9 plus 24 is 33. We know the system.out.print is not going to happen until the for loop's done. So now k is 3. And I think you're getting the idea of what's going on here. We're going to see enter number. Third number that gets entered in is 17. Number equals in.nextInt. This time 17 mod 5 is not 4. So nothing's going to change with the sum. The if statement doesn't happen and there's no else. So if you want to just fill it in and say sum is still 33, you can. Nothing changed though. Now k is 4. We've got enter number. And I'm going to have to put in 33 this time. Number equals in.nextInt. But 33 mod 5 is not 4. So if you divide 33 by 5, you're going to have a remainder of 3. So sum doesn't change again. It's still 33. Now k is 5. Enter number. And the fifth number after 33 is 62. But 62 mod 5 is not 4, so sum still isn't changing. K is 6. Enter number. And now we're going to see 59. Number equals in.nextInt saves 59 in the number variable. And 59 mod 5, is that 4? Definitely. So sum plus equals number. I've got to do 33 plus 59. So that's going to be 92. And then finally, k equals 7. We're going to see enter number. The last number that gets entered is supposed to be 44. Is 44 mod 5 equal to 4? Yes, it is. So sum plus equals number. 92 plus 44 is 136. Technically, k becomes 8, but that's not less than or equal to 7. So that stops the for loop. And outside of the for loop, we have another system.out.println. It's going to say sum equals, and then plus sum. So sum equals is in quotes, so that prints out on the screen. Sum equals. And then since plus sum, remember plus is just how we switch from writing words to writing the value of variables. So there's no plus that happens, but I just print out the variable sum. And sum is 136, so you're going to see sum equals 136. Okay. Any questions? Hopefully you're able to follow that and that made sense. If you do have questions, call me over or make a note. Okay, let's go down to the next one. This time we got an if and an else. So let's get this set up. I'm going to do work over here as always and output. Okay, first step, do you see what variables we need to list out? Up at the top for sure, we've got sum equals 0 and num equals 1. So write in sum, that's initialized to 0, and num, that's initialized to 1. And look through the code to see if there's any other variables. There's a loop variable k. And otherwise it looks like just sum and num. Okay, so now we're ready to start. Okay, so first thing in the run method is the for loop. K starts at 1. It says if num mod 2 is equal to 0. Well, num is currently 1, so is 1 mod 2 equal to 0? Well, what's 1 mod 2 equal to 0 saying? This is basically saying if I divide by 2, the remainder is 0. So sometimes it helps people to say this is if even. So if num is even, we're going to do this. Else would mean if num is odd. So now I can just kind of look at that instead of the actual code. Might make it go a little quicker. Okay, so if num is even, and it's not, so if it's odd, I do sum plus equals num. So sum plus equals num means I take what sum was, add num to it. So now sum is 1. But then outside of the if else, but still in the for loop, this num plus equals 5 is going to increment num every time. So if I add 5 to what num was, 1 plus 5, that's going to be 6. Okay, now does this stuff print out? No, because it's outside the for loop, so it only prints out at the very end. So we're still stuck inside the for loop right now. Okay, so now k is 2. If num is even, it is now. Sum plus equals num divided by 2. Okay, so now we got to do a little other math. What's num divided by 2? Well, num is 6. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this is really saying sum plus equals 3. So if I add 3 onto sum, we get 4. Num plus equals 5 means num's going to go up to 11. Okay, now k is 3. Num is odd, so if num is odd, we're going to the else. Sum plus equals num. 4 plus 11, sum becomes 15. Num plus equals 5. Add 5 to num, we get 16. But we keep going as long as k is less than or equal to 4, so we can go one more time. If num is even, sum plus equals num divided by 2. What's num divided by 2 right now? 16 divided by 2, so 8. But add that on to sum. Sum plus equals 8 means sum becomes 23. Num plus equals 5 still happens. So 16 plus 5 is 21. Technically, k goes up to 5, but that's too big. So that's out. And outside the for loop, we have two things. Num equals plus num, sum equals plus sum. And they're ln's, so two different lines. So num equals is in quotes. So in your output, you're going to see num equals. And then plus is just switching from writing words to variables. The variable num is 21. And then what are you going to see for the second line? Sum equals the value of sum. So sum equals 23. All good with that? Okay, we got one more on the back, so flip it over. All right, so this is one of those annoying ones where we've got 1 equals 0, 2 equals 0, and 6 equals 19. So be careful because that can mess you up. But let's get this set up. Do work over here. Output over here. List your variables out. We got 1, and that's 0. We've got 2, and that's also 0. We've got 6, which is 19, and our loop variable of k again. Okay, so now I really want you to try this one on your own. So what you need to do at this point is pause the video, try this all the way through, get your answers, and then play the video and see if it's right or not. And if you made a mistake, you can see where you made your mistake. So go ahead, pause the video right now and give this one a shot. When you're ready, hit play again. No, really, you actually have to pause it. So pause it, try it on your own, do it, then hit play. So pause. Okay, so I'm assuming you actually did it on your own. If not, I'll be soup mad at you. So here's your last chance to do it on your own before I give you the answer. So here we go. Okay, k equals 1, because that's the first thing in the for loop. If 6 mod 2 equals 1, what does that mean? Well, 6 mod 2 equaling 1, if you're dividing by 2 with a remainder of 1, it means it's odd. So basically this is saying if 6 is odd, we're going to do that. So else means if 6 is even. So if it helps you, remember you can write that out. So 6 is 19, so 6 is odd. So 1 plus equals 6. So 1's going to become 19. And we're going to skip over the else because the if happened. We have 6 plus equals 3. So 19 plus 3, that should be 22. 2 didn't change in that case. Okay, now k is 2. And like the other ones, these system.out.prints aren't going to happen until the for loop's totally done. Okay, so now 6 is 22. So if 6 is even, we're doing the else. 2 plus equals 6. So 2 becomes 22. 6 plus equals 3 means 6 becomes 25. 1 didn't change. You can just copy 19 down there. Now k is 3. If 6 is odd, 25 is odd, so the if's going to happen. 1 plus equals 6. 19 plus 25, that's going to get us 44. And else we skip. 6 plus equals 3. 6 becomes 28. 2 didn't change. That's still 22. We got to go until k is less than or equal to 8. So we got a while. So now k is 4. 6 is 28. So 6 is even. So the else is going to happen. So we got 2 plus equals 6. 22 plus 28. That's 40. Or 50, sorry. 6 plus equals 3 means 6 becomes 31. 1 didn't change. K is 5. 6 is equal to 31, so 6 is odd, so the if happens. 1 plus equals 6. 44 plus 31 is 75. Skip over the else. 6 plus equals 3. 6 becomes 34. 2 is still 50. K is 6. We're getting there. 6 is 34, so 6 is even, so we're going to do the else. 2 plus equals 6. 2 is going to become 50 plus 34, which is 84. 6 plus equals 3 moves 6 up to 37. 1 is still 75. K is 7. 37, so 6 is odd. If's going to happen. 1 plus equals 6. 37 plus 75 is going to be 112. 6 plus equals 3 brings 6 up to 40. 2 is still 84. Finally, k is 8. This will be our last time through. 6 is equal to 40, so the else is going to happen because 6 is even. 2 plus equals 6. 84 plus 40, 124. 6 plus equals 3 is still going to happen, so that's 43. Bring down the 112 because 1 didn't change. Technically, k goes up to 9, but that's not less than or equal to 8, so that stops the for loop. And we have our system.out.prints, and all of them have words and then the variable that's stored in it. So we've got in the output, you should see 1 equals 112. You should see 2 equals 124, and you should have 6 equals 43. Okay, if you have any lingering questions on anything we just did, please don't hesitate to come ask. And one more thing, you have a homework now. So we've just spent kind of 2 days on going over some notes with if-else statements and accumulator methods and then accumulators. So now there's a homework. So I want to quickly explain to you what that homework is going to look like. Okay, so this is what your homework should look like. It should say if-else homework up at the top. If you don't have this sheet, ask me for it. Check your agenda to see when the homework due date is. Make sure it's done by then. Make sure you have me check it. This is out of 50 points. So the first 3 questions say design a hierarchy chart and write code for each problem for questions 1, 2, and 3. Assume that get info is written. I might have called it get num in the notes, but this one's called get info, and stores the values in the given variables. So let me just start you off on number 1. It says given a number, determine whether or not it's divisible by 5 and print an appropriate message. So given a number means right away in your hierarchy chart we should see get info and that gets number. And it also says use the variable double numbers. You have to use that variable. Pay attention to that as you go throughout this also. So once you get the number, you're actually writing the method. So you should make a method name and figure out how you're going to check if that number is or divisible by 5 and print an appropriate message. So if it is divisible by 5, you're going to print something like yes divisible by 5. And if it's not, you're going to print not divisible by 5. When you write the code, make sure you don't forget to write your variables. So the first thing up here should be double number. And then the next thing should be that get info method. then after that, you're going to write whatever public void you make. Okay. Number 2 just says print the numbers from 1 to 50 that are divisible by 4. Don't use any variables other than the loop control variable. That's like I or K. So for this one, you're not going to have a get info. There's no other variables you're going to have to list up at the top. We did one like this in the notes on the if-else stay. Number 3 has variables that you have to use. And again, you have to use these specific variables. And it says given 2 numbers. So you're going to have that get info method again. Then finally, once you get to 4 and 5, they're both work output tracing questions. So that's just like what we just did in this video. Okay, so again, you should definitely have me check this over when you're done before you turn it in. And it's a 50-point homework, so it's a big one, so make sure you get it done before that due date. Good luck.